Book One was allowed the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. She is an international speaker, survivor, past life reader, and of course, an author too. No other than Miss Donna Hartley.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be on your show.
Welcome, Miss Donna, on Book One Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Okay, I have been an international speaker for 3 decades, so I've been traveling the world, and I got asked over and over again, will you write a book? Will you tell your story? Will you, because my life has been interesting in that I had malnutrition as a kid, almost died. Then I had my first heart surgery when I was 16. Then I survived a DC-10 plane crash. That'll be one of my whole books. Then
Hmm.
I developed my intuition because then I had melanoma stage 3 and I had to trust my intuition to make sure I went to the doctors and lived. And then Healing, Fire Up Your Healing is another book. I had to heal with myself, my mother, my father, my brother. I had open heart surgery. And then during the pandemic, I had surgery again. So I've been featured on NBC, ABC, the New York Times. I do lots of podcasts because people want to know where I pulled that inner strength from to survive all these events. And that's what my books talk about.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Donna. Thank you. So today let's talk about all your three books. The Unifying Flame. Fire Up is the powerful threads connecting life, healing, and intuition. What does the metaphor of fire represent to you across all three books? Is it energy, purification, alchemy, or divine spark?
I think it's energy and divine spark because the first book, I start right in the plane crash. I was a Hollywood actress. And let me tell you, things were not going good. I thought about suicide. I was at that all time low that many of us hit, a
Mhm.
crisis. And I was going back to Hawaii. Luckily, I'm a Miss Hawaii, and I was going to MC the Miss Hawaii pageant. So I said, maybe this flight will change my life. Well, this flight changed my life, but not how
Mhm.
I thought. It exploded. I had that near death experience. I was called on the carpet. It was honest, it wasn't condemning, but it really asked me, who am I? What have I done with my life? Do I love myself? Do I love my family and friends? Am I living my goals and dreams? And if I die today, have I left this planet a better place for being here? And I answered no to all of those questions. That's why I fought my way out, last one to make it out of the aircraft before it exploded. People did live, but I was the last one out of my section.
The journey's architecture, Miss Donna. You frame each book as a journey. Are these three separate expeditions, or are they a continuous pilgrimage where the transforming your life requires healing, relationships, and health, which is turn depends on awakening intuition?
Well, there is a thread between all the books. The first one is the Fire Up Your Life. The second one is Fire Up Your Intuition. And the third's Fire Up Your Healing. But they do stand alone. You can pick any of them up at any time and read it. It is a part of my life. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And every life has lots of lessons to learn. Okay. And so
Mhm.
so that way you want to learn more. So people want to see the next book and the next book. That's how that worked. But because they say, well, how did she survive that? And how did she adopt her daughter as a single mom? And how did she trust her intuition when it didn't seem to be working for her? And then I have a mentor that I introduced throughout the books. And he is that person that kept questioning me and pushing me and making me ask those inner questions.
The progression of self, Miss Donna. The trilogy moves from the outer, called life, to the relational, called healing, to the innermost, like intuition. What the sequence intentional to guide a reader from action to connection to being, or did the themes emerge in a different order for you?
No, you're correct. Excellent, excellent question. It starts on the outside because that's what we think as people. If we're not successful, I wasn't a successful actress. I wasn't married. I didn't have a lot of money. So I looked at the outside of my world. When I had the plane crash, from after that, I had to start looking inside. So, inside, how I felt, what was my passion? What did I want to do? And then when I came up with Fire Up Your Intuition, my mentor comes. This book takes place in like Lake Tahoe, California. And we go to 5 locations, and he shows me every location has a message that I have to look at. And then he gives me a 30-day assignment to go inside to trust my intuition because he said, first comes people want change, and I want to change in my life, okay? Because my life wasn't
Mhm.
working. Then you go inside and you meditate. And there's different forms of that. You can sit by the lake. You can listen to a download, of a meditation, somebody guiding you through. Listen to music, just walk in nature. Okay. Then you get a gut feeling, intuition. Then you have to act upon it. So that book is first you go in, then you can have the action outside. But unfortunately, most people do the action first and then they pay the consequences later.
Do the action first, people. So the transformation versus the change.
Mm.
Miss Donna, how do you distinguish a true transformation of one's life from simply making changes or setting a new goals? What is the core shift in identity or perspective required?
Well, transformation means you have to get honest with yourself. Transformation means you have to forgive yourself for the mistakes you've done or for the things that didn't work out. They weren't really mistakes. Now I have the wisdom, and I write about this in my books. When something happens, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just a learning lesson. And it's what you take away from that learning lesson that makes the difference. In my third book about healing, I had to heal with my mother, which I was paralyzed and in a nursing home and 24 trips to the East Coast. And my mom was an alcoholic, but I had to forgive her and love her. After I did that, I claimed some of my inner peace. And then I had to heal with my brother because we had to work together. And then I had to heal with myself because I got melanoma stage 3 because I was in a court battle with my father's third wife. So, all those people, I had to heal those toxic relationships to heal and move on. So, yes, it starts in first.
The first spark for someone feeling stuck or complacent. What is the most accessible kindling you recommend to generate the initial heat and motivation needed to begin this journey?
Okay, well, first of all, you have to sit down and ask yourself some open ended questions about your life because the first thing that comes up is usually not the true answer. And the second thing that comes up is not the true answer. So you have to keep on asking questions and say, what is the core root of this problem? Why am I stuck? Why do I feel that it is too hard to take that first step? It is too hard to change. I'll just stay at this mediocre life. Well, I don't have a mediocre personality. There's
Mhm.
been something inside of me because it was so rough when I was a kid and almost died when I was 6, and then I had heart surgery at 16 that I said, I got to value this life. And after a plane crash, of course, and almost dying and see people dying, I said, I've got to keep going. So, first of all, you ask those questions. You got to get to the root because it's not really on the surface and you say, it's too much work. It's easier to sit on the sofa and do nothing. I'm afraid to change. It's taking that first step. It's going to therapy. It's asking for a mentor. It's getting outside in nature and starting to feel good again. It's cutting out the sugars in your life that, change your brain and make you lackadaisical because they confuse your brain. So it's eating good natural foods. It's those kind of little steps. So I say to people, let me tell you, I didn't change overnight, but I was working on it. And in that third book, there's like 36 steps, I think, that my mentor, that I kind of did step by step by step to heal the little things on a daily basis. And you have to find solutions. When I had my open heart surgery, I had it during the pandemic. So people would have given up and said, okay, I can't do rehab. I can't do anything for my heart. And I said, I got to do rehab, but nothing was open. So what I did was I got my cat, I had a little kitten. I got a cat stroller, I bought it online. I zipped her in and we, because I was afraid I'd fall when I walked. So I wanted to hold on to a stroller. And we walked 500 miles in my neighborhood in 3 months. So when you say people are stuck, they have to look for alternatives. They can't keep doing the same thing. They have to do a different pattern. They have to interrupt the pattern that they have and do something different.
Definitely something different. So let's talk about the fueling the flame, Miss Donna. Transformation is hard to sustain. What are the key practices in this book that help a reader move from a burst of inspiration to consistent burning commitment?
Oh my gosh. I don't know some days how I make it, actually. I think we're all there. We're so
Mhm.
frustrated. But when I get over that and I say, I have to stay in my lane, I'm very clear about that. There's things that I can change and there's things that I can't change. So I can't get caught in all the negativity that goes on the outside that I can't change. Can I do things in my life? Can I do things in my community? Those are the things that I can do. So that keeps me going. Now, I do have a personality that would like to rest sometimes, but like last summer, I started swimming laps at the pool. Okay.
Yes.
Then I went to yoga. Do I hate it? Absolutely. Do I love it when it's done? Absolutely. So sometimes you have to push yourself. Now I started line dancing. So again, we make choices. Sitting in your house makes you more afraid all the time. You need balance with the outside world and the inside world. That's what keeps me going, the balance. But I have to tell you, I like to get my, at minimum, 20 minutes of sunshine a day, walking, snow skiing, kayaking, just sitting and read a book, just meditating, out under a tree, whatever. That keeps me going. And I remember that plane crash. I keep a picture on my mantle and say, I'm a survivor. So I got to keep doing it till it's my time to leave.
Yes, I am survivor. Tell to yourself, people. So on Fire Up Your Healing, a journey to restore relationships and health. You connect relationship and physical health. From your work, what is the most compelling evidence or story you have seen of how healing or relational wound directly improve a person's physical well-being?
Well, I think we all have healthy relationships in our life, and I also think we have very toxic relationships in our life. And if we let those toxic relationships get to us, it manifests in our heart and in our body and in our soul. So you have to heal those toxic relationships, not for the other person's sake, for your own sake, so you can be healthy. I do believe many diseases are caused by unhealthy behaviors and relationships. When I came up with the cancer, melanoma stage 3, and the doctor said, make out the will. Now, I'm a single mom and I adopted my daughter. She was only 6 years old at the time. I had no place for her to go. So I had to look and say, what caused this? And I realized it was the 2.5 year battle with the stepmother. My brother and I were on one side, the stepmother on the other side. We didn't want anything except what our father willed us. That's all we were saying. But that negativity got to me. And that's what people don't understand. If you let all that negativity come in, it can come in a sickness. It can come in cancer, because cancer, you don't love yourself. You don't like yourself. That's a form of cancer. Okay. So I realized that. I meditated. I took time and I said, what is causing this? Because if I brought it to me, I can also send this away. Not that I didn't get the best doctors, not that I didn't schedule surgery, not that I didn't have surgery. I had all of those. But I also went to the top of the mountain where I live. And I said, you know, I brought this on And I'm asking that I be healed because I have a daughter to raise, you know? And it's not about me. It's about making sure that she gets through elementary school and high school and college and she becomes the person she's meant to be. And I got to tell you, when I went in for that surgery at UC San Francisco, and I had a team of doctors that operated, there was no cancer left in my body anywhere. So call it magic, call it a miracle, call it a blessing, but they did 2 biopsies before and I was stage 3. Now, do I get checkups? Yes. Do I go to the doctors all the time? Because it was skin cancer. But I believe that we can be part of the healing. Yes, when I had heart surgery, I had to have a valve replaced. There's nothing I could have done about that except be in perfect shape mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So I think when it comes to healing, we as human beings are part of that solution in our soul and in our energy.
Yes, definitely. People, you need to heal within yourself. Forgiveness is as energy, Miss Donna. In the context of fire, is forgiveness more about releasing burn or about reclaiming stolen frequency or your fuel of energy? How do
Well,
you guide people through that process?
Well, I think forgiveness is reclaiming your energy because you've given it away, and that's why you're out of balance. But I always think forgiveness is for yourself because we come in this lifetime. We've chosen to come in, we've made a commitment, we've signed up for lessons in this lifetime, and yet we fall off that. And then we say, oh my gosh, why is my life a mess? The first person you have to forgive is yourself because you come in as a soul that is loved and cared for. And yet we get beat up and we think, I got rejected here from a job. He rejected me over here. Things aren't working out. And then we take that negativity in. So releasing all of that. And so again, meditation is a way, intuition is a way, getting outside in nature is a way, to start forgiving. But sometimes I use a string and I say my name on one side, and then I say the person or the incident on one on that side. I cut it in half and then I burn it because I'm dissolving it. I'm dissolving that contract that I came in with. I'm dissolving and I'm forgiving myself because if you don't forgive, you can't really love. You can't really move on in life because that anger inside of you keeps you stuck.
Quieting the noise, Miss Donna. In the hyper-connected, logic-obsessed world, what are the most effective techniques for helping readers distinguish the subtle, authentic signal of intuition from the loud static of fear, ego, and external opinion?
Oh boy, we got so much noise going on in the world today. You got it. I mean, it comes at you every which way and it comes at you every second. You know, I am very fortunate. I live in a small town that has one light, okay, in the mountains.
Mhm.
Now, in the summer, there's 100,000 tourists that come here. But besides that, I really think that a soul will really love you if you take some time to be quiet every day. And it doesn't have to be a lot. When people say to me, I don't think I can meditate, I say, this is what you should start with 3 times a week, just 20 minutes. Now, I know you might not get totally quiet. So get a talk through, somebody guiding you through it, somebody that has a gentle voice, somebody that has some music. And if you fall asleep, that's okay because it's calming you down. That way, you can go to your intuition. So, the example is you see an ocean, it's just turning and churning and all that. And all you see is all the confusion at the top of this ocean where the storm is coming in. But you throw a pebble in there and it goes to the very bottom of the ocean and it's sitting in the sand, very quiet and gentle. That's what meditation does. It gets rid of all that. So to meditate, get out in nature where it's quiet, turn off all those beeping machines, hide your cell phone, turn off your computer. It just means that what I'm saying is 20 minutes every 3 days. You have 168 hours a week. Everybody does. And I'm
Mm.
asking for 1 minute. That is a technique to quiet you down. And then what happens is intuition. You get a gut feeling. You have a dream. That's how you develop your intuition. So here's how intuition saved my life. When I boarded that plane, I was supposed to be on the other side, which was where was damaged the most and most people got hurt. Before I went in, I went back to the check-in counter. I demanded my seat would be changed. That was my gut. It told me to change my seat. Okay? So
Mhm.
again, when my heart surgery, I don't have any symptoms. I'm not the typical, and my heart didn't hurt. I was doing everything. I got a little tired, and I was snow skiing. And I said, something's wrong. I don't get this tired. And I had to find a doctor and a heart specialist and, a cardiologist. But I did. And I was expecting they'd give me a pill and say, you're fine. And they said, we're doing open heart surgery and cutting you open and putting in a new valve. I was like, what? But I'm saying intuition can save your life. Now, it also can say, oh, don't go down that street. And you don't. And you never know that there might have been an accident or a falling tree. But I'm saying once you develop your intuition, you got to trust it. And in these challenging times that we live in today, you need to know where to be safe for you, your family. And that's what meditation, getting quiet, turning off all that noise, giving yourself 1 hour a week. And I guarantee if your listeners start to do that, they will see a difference in their life.
Definitely. Let's talk about your personal ignition, Miss Donna. Which book's theme, transformation, healing, or intuition, represented the most challenging personal fire for your Kindle and write about? What did that process teach you?
Oh, God. First of all, I hate to write. So it's agony for me. It's agony for me. Give me 5,000 people in a room and I can speak up a storm. Okay. But
Uh-huh.
because every word is important and you want the listener to be emotionally along with you on the journey. So my story had to be real, it had to be raw. So the first book, oh my gosh, I am just fighting learning transformation. I am fighting my mentor. I don't want to meditate. I don't want to learn. I want to blame other people. I want to blame Hollywood. So there was a lot of fire inside of me, you could say, and then I had to go
Mhm.
through the plane crash. When I got to intuition, again, I didn't want to learn intuition. But by the time the book is over, you see that I understand the power of taking the time to develop and trust my intuition when it came to all areas of my life, my personal life, my professional life, anything that I did, I started to trust my intuition. And then the last one, healing, that's when I realized the power of healing has more to do with me being able to conquer my fears, speak up, being honest, and forgiving, totally forgiving. Not just a little. And there's a few men in my life, let me tell you, it took me a while to forgive them a lot. So, again, that's that process. You might go, up on top of the mountain. I've screamed. I've pounded the asphalt in my driveway. I've gone swimming laps in the lake, whatever it took. And I've also gotten quiet. So each one of those books taught me something. And guess it was agony to write it. And I'm glad they're done.
And thank you for sharing to the world, Miss Donna. Evolving with the flame. How's your understanding of these three cores of fire? Evolved from writing the first book and completing the third. What surprised you?
I think I thought my life was really messed up, that I made a lot of mistakes, and I used to beat myself up. When I wrote the 3 books and I finished the 3rd one, I realized how far I had come. Sure, I had a lot more work to do. I don't think life is ever over until you finally, to your last moment. It's a learning process till the end. So when I looked back, I go, oh, I see how I was resistant. I see how I was trying to control. And by the time I got to the 3rd book, I realized that my life was flowing much more. So it gave me the opportunity, as the agony of writing out those sentences and reading them and reading what my mentor had told me and understanding the court battles I had and the healing with my parents and everything. Wow. I said, this was work I needed to do. So I wrote it and I was honest, and it did a lot of internal healing on all levels for me.
Congratulations, Miss Donna! So, the reader's legacy. What is the most common transformative feedback you receive from someone who has engaged deeply with all three journeys? What is the shift do they consistently report?
I think so many people have said, I understand it's a process from reading your books. It's not instant. You might get the flash instant, but it's a process. And if you said in the book, I'm not perfect, but every day I say I'm getting better. Every day I'm more grateful. Every day I move to clearing any of the negative patterns I've ever had around me. So it's that process of moving forward step by step. That's the comments I get back. Because I think people want like a magic pill. Okay. Is
Mm,
it fixed?
yes.
And I go, it ain't fixed that easy. You got to be working at this, but it can be fun. It can be joyful. And then when you get thrown off track, you have to look back and say, what's bothering me now? Let me find that out and let's get back on the process, back on my road, back on my path.
Mm-hmm. So, Miss Donna, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 third season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101 love letters. Movie 101 review, Music 101, our fifth season, and Science 101, Sex 101, fourth season, and My Baby Podcast, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Miss Donna, having ignited life, healing, and intuition, do you see a fourth fire waiting to be kindled?
I've seen it in my mind, but I don't see me doing it. How's that? I have the information there. I've worked so hard in my life. I want to go out and enjoy nature more and do some more things. So I don't know if there's a fourth book coming up. It's in me. I have the storyline, but I don't know.
Well, looking for that. Miss Donna, looking for that fourth book. I hope you can do it and share to the world so that it will add it to your legacy to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your books? And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Once again. So, Miss Donna, can you please invite our listeners? Where do people buy your books?
Okay, so they can buy my books on Amazon. Okay, that's probably the best way for people all over in different countries. They can definitely do that. And I have a website under my name, donnahartley.com, and you can buy the books there. They can also see my videos there on different topics like Zip It, Pay Attention, and all the other things that I have on there and the things that I've done. So that would be the two. And also there's a free meditation on my website, very bottom of my homepage. And you go to the ocean. I'm in Hawaii. It's relaxing. So people can start to learn to meditate right there for free and relax for 20 minutes.
Yes, relax, people, relax. So, Miss Donna, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was great.
Likewise. More to come, people. See you soon.